Stoicism did not begin in Rome. Its journey started much earlier, in the bustling city of Athens, Greece. Around 300 BC, a merchant named Zeno of Citium found himself shipwrecked and stranded. He wandered into an Athenian bookshop and began reading about Socrates. This moment changed his life. Zeno decided to dedicate himself to philosophy, learning from the great teachers of his time. He eventually started teaching his own ideas while walking in a public colonnade called the Stoa Poikile, or painted porch. It is from this very place, the Stoa, that his philosophy got its name, Stoicism. His teachings offered a path to inner peace and strength, regardless of external circumstances. The ideas of Stoicism slowly travelled from Greece across the Mediterranean Sea. They arrived in the Roman Republic around the 2nd century BC, a time of great expansion and change for Rome. A key figure in this transmission was Epictetus of Rhodes, who introduced Stoic thought to influential Roman circles, including the famous general Scipio Aemilianus. The Romans were a practical people, focused on duty, discipline, and public service. They found that Stoicism's emphasis on virtue, resilience, and rational self-control resonated deeply with their own traditional values. It was a philosophy that seemed perfectly suited for a soldier, a senator, or any citizen facing the unpredictable nature of life in a powerful and often chaotic republic. As Stoicism took root in Roman soil, it began to adapt. The early Greek Stoics were interested in logic, physics, and ethics as a complete system. The Romans, however, were less concerned with abstract theories and more focused on the practical application of Stoic ethics to daily life. They wanted to know how philosophy could help them be better leaders, better citizens, and better human beings. This shift made Stoicism more of a guide to living a good life, a manual for navigating the challenges of politics, war, and personal loss. It was less about understanding the cosmos and more about mastering oneself. This practical approach made Stoicism accessible and appealing to a wide range of people in Roman society. It wasn't a philosophy confined to dusty scrolls or exclusive schools. It was a living wisdom to be practiced every day. Roman thinkers like Cato the Younger embraced it as a moral compass in the turbulent final years of the Republic. He saw it as a way to maintain his integrity against corruption and political pressure. For Cato and others who followed, Stoicism was not just a set of beliefs, but a way of life, a constant training of the mind to face adversity with courage and calm. This set the stage for its eventual rise to prominence across the Roman world. At the heart of Stoicism is a simple yet powerful idea: we should live in harmony with nature. For the Stoics, nature meant two things. First, it meant the natural order of the universe, which they believed was rational and divinely organized. Second, it meant our own human nature, which is fundamentally rational. Therefore, living according to nature means using our reason to understand the world and our place in it. The Stoics taught that some things are within our control, like our thoughts, judgments, and actions. Everything else, our health, our wealth, our reputation, and what other people do, is outside our control. The key to a peaceful life is focusing only on what we can control. This distinction between what is up to us and what is not is perhaps the most famous Stoic practice. The Roman Stoic Epictetus, who was born a slave, emphasized this concept above all else. He argued that our happiness depends entirely on our inner world, not on external events. If you lose your job, get sick, or are insulted by someone, these events themselves cannot harm you. What harms you is your judgment about these events, your belief that they are terrible. By learning to accept external events as they are, without judging them as good or bad, we can maintain our inner tranquility, our ataraxia, no matter what happens around us. This is a radical form of self-empowerment. Another central idea in Stoicism is the concept of virtue. For the Stoics, virtue is the one and only true good. Things like health, money, and pleasure are considered indifferents. This doesn't mean they have no value at all, but they are not essential for a good and happy life. A person can be virtuous and therefore happy, even if they are poor or sick. Likewise, a person can be wealthy and powerful, but live a miserable life if they lack virtue. This focus on inner character over external possessions was a revolutionary idea. It meant that anyone, from an emperor to a slave, could achieve the highest form of human flourishing by cultivating a virtuous character. To help people practice these ideas, the Stoics developed many practical exercises. One such exercise was the view from above, where you imagine looking down on your own life from high up, seeing your problems as small parts of a much larger cosmic picture. Another was premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining potential negative events, like losing a loved one or facing failure, in order to mentally prepare for them. These were not meant to make you pessimistic. On the contrary, they were designed to build resilience and reduce anxiety, so that when challenges inevitably arose, you would be ready to face them with a calm and rational mind, fully prepared to act with virtue. Stoicism reached its peak of influence during the Roman Empire, a period often called its Golden Age. During this time, its teachings were embraced by people from every level of society. The philosophy's appeal was universal because its core message, that virtue and inner peace are available to anyone willing to work for them, transcended social class. You did not need wealth, status, or even freedom to practice Stoicism. This is powerfully demonstrated by two of its most famous figures, Epictetus, who began life as a slave, and Marcus Aurelius, who was the most powerful man in the world, the Roman emperor. Their lives show the incredible breadth of Stoicism's reach. The key Roman Stoics of this era left behind writings that continue to inspire people today. Seneca the Younger was a wealthy statesman, writer, and advisor to the Emperor Nero. His letters and essays are filled with practical advice on everything from managing anger to dealing with grief and facing mortality. Epictetus, after gaining his freedom, became a renowned teacher. His student Arrian recorded his lessons in the Discourses and the Enchiridion or Handbook, which offer a direct and powerful guide to Stoic practice. Finally, Marcus Aurelius wrote his private reflections, now known as the Meditations, while leading military campaigns on the frontier of the empire. His book is a moving personal account of a leader striving to apply Stoic principles under immense pressure. During this high point, Stoicism was deeply intertwined with the Roman ideal of public duty. It provided a moral framework for leaders, encouraging them to be just, temperate, and courageous. For a Roman emperor like Marcus Aurelius, Stoicism was not a detached intellectual pursuit. It was an essential tool for governance. It reminded him to act for the common good, to treat others with fairness and empathy, and to endure the burdens of his office without complaint. The philosophy's emphasis on cosmopolitanism, the idea that all human beings are citizens of a single universal community, also resonated with the spirit of a vast and diverse empire. The foundation of this practical ethics rested on the four cardinal virtues: media group, ancient stone tablet listing virtues, Roman mosaic of virtues, carved Latin inscriptions at a stock at a distribute _ equally, wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. Wisdom was the ability to distinguish between what is good, bad, and indifferent. Justice was about treating others fairly and with kindness, fulfilling our duties to our community. Courage meant facing difficulties, pain, and fear with a rational mind, not just on the battlefield, but in everyday life. Temperance, or moderation, was the practice of self-control, mastering our desires for pleasure and avoiding excess. For the Stoics, these four virtues were interconnected. To have one was to have them all, and together they formed the complete picture of a good and virtuous character. Despite its powerful influence during the Golden Age, the prominence of Stoicism in the Roman world eventually began to wane. One of the primary reasons for this decline was the rise of a new and compelling belief system, Christianity. As the Roman Empire underwent profound social and political changes, many people sought comfort and salvation in ways that Stoicism did not offer. Christianity promised a personal relationship with a loving God, forgiveness for sins, and the hope of an afterlife, which held a strong emotional appeal. While Stoicism offered a path to inner resilience, Christianity offered a path to eternal salvation, and for many, this was a more powerful promise. The philosophical landscape was also changing. Other schools of thought, like Neoplatonism, gained popularity among the intellectual elites. These philosophies often incorporated mystical elements and complex metaphysical systems that appealed to those seeking a more spiritual or transcendent experience than the rational, earthbound focus of Stoicism. Furthermore, as the Roman Empire faced increasing instability and crisis, the Stoic ideal of the self-sufficient sage may have seemed less practical to a population grappling with widespread chaos. The sense of community, ritual, and divine intervention offered by religions like Christianity and mystery cults provided a different kind of support network. However, the decline of Stoicism as a dominant school of thought did not mean its ideas disappeared. On the contrary, many Stoic ethical teachings were absorbed into early Christian philosophy. Thinkers like St. Ambrose and St. Augustine were familiar with Stoic writers and incorporated concepts such as the cardinal virtues, the idea of natural law, and the importance of mastering one's passions into Christian doctrine. In this way, Stoic wisdom continued to shape Western thought, even after its name was no longer widely used. Its ideas survived, embedded within the very religion that had largely replaced it as the moral guide for the Western world. Today, we are witnessing a remarkable resurgence of interest in Stoicism. Its practical, action-oriented approach to life's challenges has found a new and eager audience. Modern psychology, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, draws heavily on Stoic principles, such as the idea that our thoughts, not external events, cause our feelings. Self-help movements and mindfulness practices also echo Stoic exercises for building mental resilience and finding peace. The writings of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius are once again bestsellers, offering timeless wisdom to people navigating the stresses of the modern world. The epic journey of Stoicism shows that a good idea never truly dies. It simply waits for the moment when humanity needs it again.